لو هتكلم عن مصر لو هتكلم عن مصر تشهد كتب التاريخ.
Welcome back. Right, moving on to our first segment of today. We were talking about the cabinet meeting, the weekly cabinet meeting that took place yesterday, discussing many different issues, of course, on top of which the economic crisis and the repercussions of the Ukrainian-Russian war on economy in general. Over the phone, we have with us Dr. Youmn Hamaki, Professor of Economics at Shams University. Hello.
Hello, good morning, Nasha.
Good morning, doctor. So first of all, I'd like to talk about the repercussions of the Ukrainian-Russian war on the economic reform program phase 2, especially that we have to admit the fact that it looks like this war is not ending now. So we are talking about something, a real challenge in addition to a real crisis all around the world.
Indeed, Nashwa, we know quite well that Egypt has been affected seriously by COVID-19, and when the economy started to recover, we had another shock from the Russian-Ukrainian. The impact of Russian-Ukrainian was quite severe and still has its impact on the economy since, first of all, foreign indirect investments had affected seriously. More than $20 billion has been withdrawn from the Egyptian economy as hot money. And this actually affected to large extent the availability of foreign currency in Egypt and affected seriously the Egyptian pound in reference to dollar. Another impact was about increasing prices of food and energy, and this affected the Egyptian economy, despite that Egypt has benefited from the increase of and the demand for gas from nowadays we are approaching, we are exporting $1 billion every month, which means $12 billion on a yearly basis of liquefied gas as well as other sources. And I believe that this had a positive effect, but still Egypt increasing prices of energy is affecting the economy regarding the cost of production. Another way is, since Egypt is the largest importer of wheat, and there was a significant increase not only in the wheat but all other food product like oil of food, and all this we are referring on importation to large extent. So this is a very heavy burden on our budget, besides the burden of the decrease in the Egyptian pound. So the repercussions was quite severe. If we can add to that, what happened regarding the shortage of foreign currency and, the shortage of supply of different products and the large, defect of this on the economy, which has been reflected on inflation that nowadays arrived to more than 22%. So all these repercussions affected seriously the Egyptian economy, and due to that we have to liberalize and to float the Egyptian pound, and this is having again its repercussions on more inflation. And I believe that the potential for increasing GDP growth like we were expecting to achieve before the pandemic, about 6% rate of growth. Nowadays we are talking about 4.4%, and with increasing the rate of growth of population, this may reflect, a deterioration in the standard of living for the Egyptian people. And all this, we have to address all these challenges, and due to that, part of the decisions that have been taken on the meeting of cabinet yesterday actually was dedicated to address the impact of the Russian-Ukrainian war.
Doctor, many measures were adopted in this respect to ease the burdens and to support the Egyptian citizen. Whether we are talking about these measures that were adopted by the government and also some measures actually by the Central Bank of Egypt. So how do you see the impact of this, and what are important points to be taken into consideration?
Yes, of course. The Egyptian government has exerted great efforts actually to try to release the impact of such crisis on the standard of living for the Egyptian people. And I believe, first of all, trying to to enhance the outreach of Egyptian people to the basic goods by having outlets everywhere and trying to, supply the most basic goods with reasonable price, so this is, can be regarded as a very important step that has been taken in order to alleviate the impact of inflation. Another thing is by, regarding bread, Egyptian bread heavily subsidized for those who are having a rationing card, and I believe that the availability of bread has been strengthened during the last period and followed and monitored in order to be sure that this essential product is already there and for the need of the people. Another thing is try to not to reflect the inflation on producers and consumers regarding all of what the government can take or can do regarding, the capabilities of government. But still, the government cannot address what traders are doing in the market regarding, ballooning increase of the prices of the product, and all traders, they can mention that the dollar is increasing. The dollar is increasing. This is, you can see that, and we all as consumers can feel that everywhere when we go to buy any product, and it happened during the day several times, making such sharp increases, which these increases are not coping actually with the devaluation of the Egyptian pound, which means that still we can see, monopolizing the market, and actually these actions should be taken, they should be addressed by the government severely. But our problem to address this phenomena is quite related. We don't have a production index for each product in Egypt to see the cost of production and in the value chain, and then what is the profit margin for each producer, so that you can figure out to how extent these producers or traders are exaggerating increasing prices. So this is one of the actually recommendation I kept mentioning during the last years, so that you can be able to do your homework as government in order to make the balance between consumers and producers, and to exert your actually role as governing the market and making your your role in the government still to make this balance between consumers and producers. So these are the efforts that have been done by government. Besides what has been actually declared yesterday regarding how to activate the industrial sector, this is quite important because we can consider the industrial sector as engine of growth for Egypt, and for the economic conference that has been held, lately. One of the major recommendations is to try to address challenges confronting the industrial sector. And we mentioned actually several obstacles confronting the industrial sector. The government is keeping actually honestly working very hard towards trying to alleviate all obstacles and problems confronting the industrial sector, and generally speaking investors, because one of the main aim of what we can do nowadays is to attract foreign direct investment as well as facilitating for local investors, facilitating the investment climate so that they can, we have the Nashwa here in Egypt, we have very large potentialities for enhancing production and adding value added to the economy in different industries. We have very good potentialities in ready-made clothes. We have very good potentialities in leather product, in food industry. And actually, our food industry has, expanded and has been diversified quite well during the last period. So the potential in the economy is quite good. It needs good management, economic management, and allowing for fair competition. Fair competition can be regarded as, a cornerstone towards activating the industrial sector nowadays.
Dr. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi gave clear directives to the government to support and give all facilities required, whether we are talking about the industrial sector or the agricultural sector. And actually, I've just tackled this. So I'd like to talk about it in more details because we are talking about production. And when it comes to production, this is going to be our only way out of all what is going on around.
Yes, indeed. Production is the main, the main goal that we should concentrate in different sectors of the economy. If we are talking about the industrial sector, maybe the industrial sector can give us, a very good result in a very short period. Taking into consideration that Egypt is having, like I mentioned, very good potentialities. We have infrastructure, we have several industries that started in different ways, to be nowadays matured, about to be matured. What we need to actually to concentrate on is the value chain and what we have, in the value chain, what products you can have a comparative advantage, so that to enhance such comparative advantage and move it into a competitive advantage. So taking that into consideration, I believe that this facilitating of the environment should look to or ask specifically small producers, because, regarding large producers, Nashwa, they have their channels to deliver their complaints, and despite that they are suffering too, but more producers, small producers and medium producers are suffering more, and we can witness, due to the impact of these two crises, we can witness a lot of distress, factories because of the devaluation. And when we can see that as economists, the repercussions actually that you are going to have increasing unemployment rate, you can poverty may increase due to that. So I believe that one of our top priorities that we have to concentrate on in this period is how to address these distressed, factories, how to, try to solve their problems, and because when we do that, actually we are activating the potentialities of enhancing productive capacities as well as exporting, because you cannot rely only on large factories for exportation. Still, you have to include those medium and small industries into the list of exporters to enlarge, the size of export. And I believe that working hard on the field, not by just taking decisions, but to monitor what are the impact of such decisions on the environment for those small producers, I believe this should be on our top priorities for the coming period.
Right, Doctor, just allow me to move into a quick break, then I'll be back to you to continue talking about the repercussions of the Ukrainian-Russian war and more about the files that were discussed during the weekly cabinet meeting.
الواقع الاقتصادي في مصر تحدي ضخم ولازم نعترف بده.